Get started. So are you guys having fun so far in New Vita? I know some of you have just started, some have been in for a few weeks. So you're having a good time. Yay? Yay? It's good. You learning lots? Getting a lot of info? Okay, so today we're doing a lunch and learn. And I think you received an invitation that talked about what the topic was. And it's about exercise in your brain, exercise in your mind. The premise I want to focus on right now is that your brain is part of your body, isn't it? It sits inside your body. You know, your brain, yeah. And it's not a separate entity. It's not this separate little computer that sits outside. In fact, that computer gets the same energy that flexes a muscle is the same energy that your brain needs to actually function. Same blood that oxygenates your lungs and your organs. It's the same blood that your brain needs actually to transport. There's some interesting intricacies there, but I think our culture likes separating those two things. We like to take things and we like to put them in little boxes and compartmentalize. And the concept of holistic, and I hope that we're relaying that as a program that we're giving you in education, is that life is holistic, right? That if you're not doing well at home, are you going to do really great at work? Probably not. Right? Because we are who we are, and everywhere you go, there you are, right? You can't separate the two things out, your emotions, your health, your fitness. And this isn't a new concept either. In fact, I put this quote up there from Plato. The Greek culture, over 2,000 years ago, identified that this was very important, that the human being was a holistic entity, and that you needed to take time, and please read through this. And I was exposed to this quote probably in high school, but I remember it when it triggered for me as I had a professor, my first professor of exercise physiology, 26 years ago, something like that. He had this quote up on the wall. He's a very well-educated man. He was from Sweden. And he was not only a scientist, but he was an artist. And he understood that health is part art as well. And that you need to take the time to develop not only your physical body, your spiritual body, and your mind. And they all work together. And it's like that three-legged chair. You kick one of the legs out, boom, it falls down. So you need to take time to develop all aspects. And I hope when you leave here that you're going to have a new, exciting perspective on exercise. Because we spend a lot of time talking about how exercise affects, right, the waist, our heart health, which are, very critical. But it affects your mind. And again, that goes back to the concept that it's holistic. Your body is holistic. It's engaged in all aspects, right? So, Plato, I think very bright person. Now, most of you saw the trends, the obesity trends, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time there. We drive this through, and the reason we track it again is because it's an outcome of behavior. It impacts us, and I talked about how it impacts us culturally. It impacts us financially. This huge debate that's going on with healthcare and costs, right? And it's a big deal because health is how we take care of our bodies. We all live here. You may have a house, you may have an apartment, but you live here. This is where the essence of who you are lives. And there are ways to make that essence function at its highest and best level. So let's get this through here. Isn't that always shocking? I like looking at these slides because it's shocking how, we keep trending in this direction. We talk about things like life expectancy and so forth is going up. It's not. I think, did I share with you as a group, do you know that if your child was born in the last 7 years, they have a shorter life expectancy than you do? It's pretty powerful, huh? And it's because of that behavior. So again, modern culture wants to separate us out. We want to compartmentalize everything. In fact, every study you hear on TV or the news or whatever, it's, this little study, this little thing happened. We break it into little pieces. And that's how we kind of sometimes can face things and digest them properly. But you have to look at life as a holistic entity. So some of these slides are important. Can you see okay? Is that all right? So we're going to go back to high school biology, and we're going to go through a little lesson. You don't have to remember any of this other than the concept, okay? The concept, the major concept. And I'm sharing, what's our brain made up of? You've heard the term neurons, right? Neurons. Those are our brain cells. In fact, 10 years ago, we said we couldn't regenerate new brain cells. That's not true. That we regenerate and actually get bigger, fatter, stronger brains every day. That is, if we're doing all the right things. We create new brain cells all the time. So this is what a neuron looks like. And this is a little picture here on your left. You can see it. And from biology, if you remember way back for me, there's a little nucleus, kind of like the power plant, the little place where everything happens. Then there are these little fingers. They're called dendrites in the cell body. And then axons. You remember that a little bit, maybe? You don't have to remember all of it. And the axon goes down and it finds another one of these dendrites. That's how it connects. That's how it's called a neural network. And that's how we create memories, emotions, how we keep that wonderful fourth birthday party that you might remember when you were a kid and that beautiful cake that your mom made you. I mean, that's how we keep those memories. That's how we learn new tasks. So when we're learning new things for maybe our job responsibilities and we keep those things, this is actually how it's created. It's a neural network, and we actually put this connection together, and your brain has to talk, right? Makes sense. It's pretty simple concept. And it's real important, let's see, I lost my little thing, that there is good, and these don't actually touch. There's a potential. It's an electrochemical potential, and you'll hear me talk about this if I do other presentations or if I'm your coach, about, our bodies work with a lot of buttons and triggers, and those buttons are all electrochemical. They're hormones, neurotransmitters, all these things, and that's really how we function, how we work. So you have to have a good little connection here. You have to have a good little gap so that when this one fires, it triggers this one, and we can actually recall information, we can create memories, we can actually remember things, and we can actually learn new tasks. Our muscles work very similarly, again, going back to holistic, but that's going to be another lecture, and we'll talk about that. But everything we do, think, feel, who we are, is actually driven by a lot of this, because it's the connection. It's how we come to be who we are. As we grow from children to adulthood, it's that neural network. And you want what's called integrity in your neural network. All that means is that it works, that it's talking, that all the cells are able to connect and talk and communicate. Does that make sense? I mean, it's pretty good concept. So this is a picture of a brain cell, and we have millions of them, and that's a real one. That's one, when you pass away, did you know that your brain cells actually fire and function for several hours after your passing? And what they do is, if you donated your body to science, they'll take little slices of your brain, and they do a lot of these studies at that time. Now there's some interesting technology that allows us to see things happen when you're alive in real time. I'll talk about that a little bit. But that's how they get a picture of a neuron. It's they slice a little thin sheet, they stain it, and that's what it looks like. It's very minute. But see all those dendrites, all those little fingers? You see the little nucleus, the cell? You can kind of see what the picture looks like. This is the real deal, though, right here. Cell body, nucleus, axon. It's an interesting thing. It's much more powerful than the most powerful computer that exists. Your brain is much more intricate. And we only use about 10% of our brains. So, pretty interesting stuff, I think. So, like I said, you need to have neural integrity, and that's what makes our brains function real well, and it makes us sharp, makes us think clear, makes us feel better. All those things are connected. And did you know that one of the things that damages your integrity, meaning the connections, is inactivity, being sedentary? It actually damages the connections. Being stressed damages the connections. Inactivity damages the connections. Being inactive mentally, meaning don't read. You don't learn anything new. All those things damage what we call neural integrity. And you don't want a decrease in neural integrity, because that's part of what happens when we get things like Alzheimer's or dementias or lower cognitive function, memory loss as we age. We shouldn't have any decline there as we age. Now, sometimes we forget, memory is funky as we age, and now that I'm in my 40s, I've noticed that, I forget things. That typically isn't a neural integrity issue. That typically is that you've lived long enough, that you have so many things going on, that your brain is compartmentalizing things and said, that's not that important. It puts it someplace else, and it really focuses on the things that you need right away every day. And that's typically why we start losing some integrity there.